Imagine standing right there
Mm-mm.
at the threshold of well, a deeply personal dream. It could be a new home, where your family's going to grow.
Or maybe it's that towering office building, the one that's meant to define your company's future.
Exactly. Or even a revitalized city space, something that promises to breathe new life into a whole community. You've got this vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's a bit abstract, maybe filled with unspoken desires, deeply held aspirations.
Yeah, often it is.
And the incredible journey, going from that initial spark, that dream, to a tangible structure, something built of steel, glass, stone well, that hinges on something much more complex than just blueprints and technical skill.
It really does. It hinges on the human element.
Specifically, the relationship with the people who are actually going to bring that dream to life.
Pres-
Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into, well, think of it as a masterclass in the human side of the construction business. We're exploring what might just be the most important and, to be honest, often the most challenging aspect of any project, mastering the client relationship.
Indeed. Because beyond the technical prowess, the engineering, the construction skills, which are obviously vital, the ultimate success of any project, whether it's a small renovation or a truly monumental structure, it really relies on a crucial soft skill.
That relationship management.
Exactly.
Right.
And today we're going to unpack that fundamental challenge. It's often difficult, translating a client's abstract vision, their deepest hopes, sometimes even those unspoken desires, into a concrete reality that hopefully meets and maybe even exceeds their expectations.
Right. So our mission in this deep dive is basically to give you a shortcut, a way to understand the essential best practices for effective client communication. We'll cover, well, everything, from the subtle art of active listening, really hearing what's said and unsaid.
And the absolute importance of setting crystal clear expectations right from the start.
Definitely. And then there's the delicate skill of delivering unwelcome news gracefully. 'Cause
Yeah.
let's face it, things don't always go to plan.
No, they certainly don't. We'll also get into how educating your clients about the process, the complexity, is actually builds trust.
And how to skillfully navigate those common pitfalls, the things that tend to trip up projects.
And ultimately, why building a great experience, not just constructing a great building, is the true pathway to getting that repeat business and those invaluable referrals.
Okay, let's dig in. Right, so let's really unpack this foundational stage. Before a single calculation is even made, before a shovel hits the dirt, the real work, the deep work, begins with understanding the client.
Absolutely.
And this goes way beyond just, reviewing the architectural program or the list of requirements. It's about delving into their core motivations.
Their underlying needs, yeah.
Yeah.
And the very purpose behind their investment. Why are they doing this?
You've hit on the absolute core there. And it reminds me of something the management guru Peter Drucker famously articulated.
Oh, Drucker, yes.
He put it so succinctly, didn't he? The customer defines the business.
He did. And Drucker wasn't just talking about a simple transaction like buying a coffee. He argued that to satisfy the customer is the mission and purpose of every business.
That's not just a catchy slogan, is it? It's a profound principle, especially for anyone in construction.
It really is. It demands that we genuinely view the project from the client's perspective.
Yeah.
We need to sort of step into their shoes, understand their world, their goals, maybe even their anxieties.
Instead of just looking through the builder's lens, focusing only on the mechanics of the build.
Exactly. We need to see beyond the bricks and mortar.
That's such a crucial distinction, because it's not just about what they say they want on the surface, is it?
No, rarely.
It's about uncovering that deeper want the customer satisfies when he buys a product or a service. Like, take your example of someone commissioning a new office. Are they just buying square footage? Probably not.
Probably not. They might be seeking a space that really fosters collaboration or boosts employee morale, or maybe projects a certain image to their competitors and clients.
Or even drives innovation.
Yeah.
What problem are they actually trying to solve? What aspiration are they ultimately trying to fulfill with this build?
Right. Because the physical structure, no matter how impressive it looks, is ultimately just the manifestation of that deeper, often intangible desire.
And that's where the tension often comes in, isn't it? That timeless struggle between the client's grand idea, which might be a bit ethereal,
and the nuts and bolts, the practicalities of actually executing it. Even architectural giants like Frank Lloyd Wright, he constantly grappled with the challenge of aligning client desires with artistic expression.
That sounds like a tightrope walk.
It really is. He often found himself navigating this creative tension, trying to bridge that gap between his own strong vision and his clients' evolving expectations, all while dealing with the realities of materials, budget, the site itself.
It's that constant negotiation between, like, boundless aspiration and tangible reality.
Precisely.
And it reminds me of something the philosopher Matthew Crawford observed about perception. He noted, we often have an icon of the thing in our minds rather than the thing itself.
An icon of the thing. That's interesting, like an idealized image.
Yeah, exactly. This conceptual image, maybe it's incomplete, maybe idealized, maybe even a little bit fantastical. So for those of us in the building trades, the question becomes, how do we help clients articulate and, well, refine that icon?
Turn it into something truly buildable.
Right. Something that respects physics, budget constraints, available materials,
Yeah.
but without losing its essential spirit, that initial spark. It's a delicate dance, guiding versus just collaborating.
It really is. And to illustrate just how extreme this challenge can be, consider this truly remarkable, yet, let's be honest, fantastical 18th century design. It was for a bridge at Clifton in Bristol by an engineer named William Bridges.
Okay, what did he propose?
Get this. His vision was for a massive structure that would house no fewer than 20 dwelling houses, a lighthouse, a chapel, granaries, a market, and even a watermill. All on the bridge.
Wow, that's ambitious.
Ambitious is putting it mildly. While incredibly imaginative, it's an extreme but vivid example of that expansive client-like vision needing to be seriously grounded in practicality, budget, and maybe even structural possibility.
So the key insight there, even centuries later, is how do you respectfully but firmly guide a client from that kind of boundless dream towards a buildable reality?
Exactly. It's not about crushing their spirit or saying no immediately. It's about translating that passion into something achievable, something realistic. Maybe you break it down into phases or explore alternative, more feasible solutions that still capture the essence of their ambition.
You have to start that conversation right from the beginning.
Right from the very first meeting.
That bridge story is a perfect example of grand vision meeting ground reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds us, too, that what a client considers ideal or even essential, well, that's not static, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Client desires and what constitutes luxury or even basic needs have shifted dramatically throughout history. What was cutting edge or even scandalous in one era might be totally commonplace or even obsolete today.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Take 19th century England.
Yeah.
The introduction of gaslight or even private bathrooms into homes was initially seen by some as, well, bourgeois technology.
Bourgeois.
Yeah, and even vulgar by some of the entrenched upper-class homeowners. It was seen as maybe ostentatious or simply unnecessary.
Wow. That's fascinating compared to today.
It is, and contrast that with America at the time, where there was apparently no such opposition. Gasoliers were readily installed in the palatial drawing rooms of the wealthy as symbols of progress and comfort.
So it highlights not just evolving tastes, but real cultural differences in how things like comfort, modernity, privacy are perceived and valued.
Absolutely.
And this historical perspective really drives home the point for today's builders. What a client considers absolutely essential, now maybe it's cutting-edge smart home tech for convenience and security.
Or advanced sustainability features for environmental reasons.
Or those deeply bespoke finishes that reflect their unique personality or brand. These things can be profoundly rooted in current societal values and personal aspirations.
It moves far beyond just basic functional requirements. A modern home isn't just shelter anymore.
No, it's a personal statement, a lifestyle choice, an investment in a certain future. And the builder needs to understand all those layers.
And this leads us nicely into the philosophical underpinnings of architecture itself, which often speak directly to aligning design with purpose. Louis H. Sullivan, the famous American architect.
Form follows function, or close to it.
Pretty much. He famously articulated his philosophy that the function created or organized its form. He believed very strongly that the function of a building must predetermine and organize its form.
Meaning the building's purpose should dictate its design, not the other way around.
Exactly. This is crucial for satisfying a client's inherent needs, ensuring the building isn't just aesthetically pleasing on the outside, but truly serves its purpose from the inside out, fulfilling its fundamental functional and emotional requirements.
Le Corbusier, another giant, echoed this profoundly. He stated, "A plan proceeds from within to without," suggesting that The exterior is the result of an interior.
Right. The inside shapes the outside.
And this concept pushes us to look deeply at the client's internal purpose, their emotional response to the space. He gave a vivid example from the Green Mosque in Brussels.
Oh yes, the sensorial rhythm.
That's it. He observed how visitors move from a small doorway into this grand light-filled space, then to a second similar space but in half light, and then further into even smaller, more subdued spaces.
And this creates a sensorial rhythm, he called it, of light and volume. It completely captures and enthralls the visitor. They lose the sense of the common scale and become enthralled.
So for a builder, this means designing for the experience, for the feeling the client wants. Not just the footprint and the square footage, it's understanding that emotional journey within the built environment.
And bringing these principles together, Frank Lloyd Wright himself championed good architecture as an embodiment of truth, beauty, and a response to the environment and human needs, rather than just, superficial decoration.
Setting a powerful precedent.
It really does, ensuring the built reality deeply resonates with the client's core values and aspirations, making the structure not just functional but profoundly meaningful.
So the practical takeaway here is, by understanding these deeper layers, purpose, function, emotional impact builders can move beyond simply constructing a building.
To crafting a space that truly embodies the client's vision and enhances their life or their business. That's the goal.
Okay, so we've established that fundamental understanding of the client's vision.
Right.
Now, the real craft comes in. How do we bridge that vision to reality through truly effective, ongoing communication?
The communication piece. Crucial.
Yeah, because this is where the highly technical stuff meets the client's often non-technical understanding. Where do we even begin with that translation?
That translation is absolutely vital. Eugène Viollet-le-Duc, the very influential 19th century French architect and theorist, he really recognized this challenge.
What did he say?
He noted that to influence a capricious or irresolute client, an architect's advice has to be based on simple and solid reasons.
Simple and solid reasons. I like that.
It underscores the need for builders, for architects, to clearly explain the rationale behind design choices, behind construction decisions. It's not about dictating. It's about educating, building confidence through well-reasoned, transparent explanations that a client can actually understand and trust.
Right. For instance, it's not enough to just say, look, this roof needs a steep pitch. You need to explain why. You'd explain maybe why shingles, for example, require at least a 6-inch to the foot pitch to ensure proper water runoff, prevent leaking, or why tiles might need 7 inches, as meticulously specified in, say, the Kidder-Parker Handbook.
Or, even more surprisingly, you might recount how ancient Greek temples actually needed this staggering 3,000-ton mound of clay and straw piled on their roofs before the tiles could even be laid.
3,000 tons. Why on earth?
Because the simple stone beams they used back then couldn't safely span more than about 8 feet. So they needed this immense, heavy layer, presumably filled with vermin, by the way, as insulation and structural support.
Wow. Okay, these specific details, historical or technical, they aren't just trivia, are they?
Not at all. They demonstrate the deep understanding required to explain the why. It builds client confidence in the necessity of modern structural approaches. It shows you really know your stuff.
And that level of clarity extends even to the most fundamental material choices, right? Like sand.
Even sand. Vitruvius, the ancient Roman architect whose writings basically laid the foundation for Western architecture.
Vitruvius, right.
He meticulously detailed the properties of different sands. He noted pit sand was generally best for tenacious cement, while pozzolana cemented quickly in water, and white pit sand was actually the worst for durability because it lacked adhesive qualities.
So knowing that history and being able to communicate its implications for longevity, for structural integrity.
It builds immense confidence. It shows the client that every choice, down to the aggregate in the concrete, is deliberate, informed, and rooted in a deep understanding of materials science.
Okay, so given the complexities, and let's face it, the long timelines of construction, a crucial tool for managing expectations and, frankly, managing the whole project is the schedule.
The schedule, yes. Absolutely critical.
The CPM schedule, critical path method. Once it's accepted and understood by everyone involved, it really turns into a two-edged sword, doesn't it?
It does. How so?
Well, on one hand, it becomes the official, agreed-upon timeframe. It's the roadmap for the entire project. Everyone knows the plan.
Right, the baseline.
But on the other hand, it's invaluable for meticulously documenting any deviations. Things caused by owner-directed changes, unforeseen site conditions, delays from suppliers, whatever.
So it's not just a timeline, it's a transparent record. It helps clarify accountability and manage change when things inevitably shift.
Exactly.
And the Construction Management Association of America, the CMAA, their standards really emphasize the critical importance of defining the project scope clearly and then diligently managing scope changes right from the get-go.
Scope creep is the enemy.
It really can be. So early in the pre-design phase, they recommend developing a master schedule, that's the big picture, the entire project duration, key phases, and also a more detailed milestone schedule.
Setting specific high-level time goals.
Precisely. And these need to be developed and rigorously agreed upon with the owner. They aren't just internal documents, they're fundamental communication tools. They provide that clear roadmap and shared understanding from day one.
And all of this careful planning, all this documentation, it funnels into something called the Program Management Plan, or PMP.
Yes, the PMP. Think of it as the project Bible.
Okay.
It's a comprehensive written plan approved by the owner that defines the project's overall vision, its strategy, the detailed schedule, the budget criteria. But crucially, it also lays out the policies, procedures, and standards for the entire program, quality control, communication protocols, everything.
So it serves as a living master reference document, ensures absolutely everyone, owner, architect, contractor, subs, is consistently on the same page, helps manage that inherent organized complexity of big projects.
Exactly right. It's about alignment.
Now, shifting gears a bit technologically, building information modeling, or BIM, seems to be truly revolutionizing client communication in this area.
Oh, absolutely. BIM is a game changer. Imagine being able to virtually walk through a future building before construction even starts.
Identifying potential clashes, like a ventilation duct hitting a structural beam.
Precisely. BIM facilitates this simultaneous work by multiple design disciplines. It coordinates these complex 3D models, significantly reducing errors and providing much earlier insight into design problems.
So you catch issues in the design phase, which is way cheaper than catching them during construction.
Massively cheaper. Saves time, saves money, saves headaches for everyone involved. It's proactive problem solving.
That's a fantastic real-world benefit. So for instance, this means home builders using BIM can offer rapid feedback on the quantity and cost implications of a design change.
Exactly. Picture this. You're a prospective home buyer sitting down with the builder. As you tweak a design detail, maybe you want an extra window, or you change the cabinet material, or adjust a room layout.
You can see the cost implications right there in real time.
And the material quantity changes, reflected almost immediately. This kind of immediate, transparent feedback is incredibly valuable, especially when customizing options. It empowers clients to make informed decisions quickly.
That's huge. And beyond just the design phase.
Beyond design, BIM also enables compelling visualization of both construction products and processes. For example, you can use 4D animations, that's 3D plus the time element, to explore process plans.
So you can see how the building will actually come together, sequence by sequence.
Yes. And that's not just for the internal project team to optimize sequencing. It's also a powerful tool for public relations, community outreach, and buy-in for the owner.
So stakeholders in the community can actually see and understand the project, how it'll be built, what it'll look like even before ground is broken, fosters transparency and engagement.
Precisely. It makes it real for people.
And even if you don't have full BIM implementation, traditional preliminary design documents, typical floor plans, detailed elevations, cross-sections, even rough renderings, they're still absolutely vital for clear client understanding, right?
Oh, absolutely. Those visual aids are crucial. They bridge that gap between abstract ideas and concrete forms, making the complex tangible, giving clients a real representation of their future project.
But there's a caveat with visuals, isn't there? Edward Tufte warned about this.
Yes, Tufte's warning against what he called self-promoting graphics, the duck.
The duck.
Yeah, it refers to when decorative forms or flashy visuals actually overshadow the real quantitative information. It becomes more about sizzle than substance.
Making it look pretty, but maybe not conveying the facts clearly.
Exactly. Tufte argued that effective graphics should be clear, almost like gray grids, designed for accurate data reconstruction, not just visual dazzle. As he put it so well, data graphics are paragraphs about data.
So the goal is clarity and factual accuracy, not just impressing the client with fancy graphics.
The focus has to be on conveying information clearly and honestly.
Now, part of effective communication is also just demystifying the construction process itself, isn't it?
Definitely. Especially for clients unfamiliar with building.
They benefit hugely from understanding the sequence, the interdependencies of different trades. Like, they might not realize plumbers usually install the big drain waste vent pipes first.
Because they rely on gravity for proper function.
Right. And then the smaller supply pipes come later. And only after that do the electricians typically route their flexible wires around everything else because they have more adaptability.
Explaining that sequence helps them understand the logic behind the workflow, why certain things happen when they do. They appreciate the coordination involved.
Makes sense. And similarly, educating clients about the qualities and advantages of specific materials helps them make informed decisions, right? And appreciate the value they're getting.
Absolutely. Take gypsum board, drywall, explaining why it's such a popular choice for interior finishes.
Because it's relatively cheap to install.
And it provides a seamless surface when it's finished properly, and it offers an inherent degree of fire resistance. Giving those concrete, practical reasons for its selection builds confidence in the quality and safety of the build.
And this extends to those critical, often hidden components too. Things that really contribute to a building's longevity and performance.
Like flashing.
Exactly. Discussing the necessity of flashing at window heads and sills, crucial for preventing that insidious water infiltration over time.
Or explaining how an air barrier system forms a continuous airtight boundary between the inside and outside.
Which improves energy efficiency and comfort dramatically.
Educating clients on these fundamental aspects of quality, durability, and long-term performance shows them what they're truly investing in. It's about revealing the hidden craftsmanship, the sound engineering that underpins a solid, high-performing structure.
These conversations, explaining the why behind the what, that's where trust is really built. The client starts to see the builder not just as a contractor, but as a knowledgeable guide.
A partner in the process, that's the ideal.
Okay, now for the tricky part. What happens when, and let's be real, in any complex undertaking involving countless variables, materials, human hands, things inevitably don't go according to plan?
Yeah, the inevitable hiccups, or sometimes major roadblocks.
How do we deliver bad news? How do we manage unexpected changes? How do we keep that client relationship strong when budgets swell, timelines stretch, or unforeseen issues suddenly pop up?
This is absolutely where the human element is truly tested, and the relationship can either solidify under pressure or, unfortunately, fracture.
Tracy Kidder's book, House, it offers such a poignant, very human example of this, doesn't it? The emotional impact when client actions really strain that builder relationship.
It really does. In his account, you hear that builder's raw frustration, that cry of, "fuck them," after he perceived manipulative behavior or just unreasonable demands from the client.
It's raw, but it powerfully highlights how easily morale can be damaged among the construction crew.
Absolutely. And even though his team, despite their frustration, would still do a technically good job, professional pride ensures that the builder lamented that it would be done without the spirit.
And that loss of spirit, it's intangible, but it has a very real cost, doesn't it? It can affect the joy in the work, the proactive problem solving, the pride taken in the final product. And these setbacks are typical, as the source material notes. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some are minor, some are significant. Even a seemingly simple oversight, like that example of a builder forgetting to include a $1,000 lighting allowance in the original estimate.
Ouch.
Right. It often means the company has to absorb that cost just to maintain the client relationship and their reputation.
Yeah.
It underscores that constant need for vigilance, meticulous planning, and often having a financial buffer for the unexpected.
Because these things rarely announce themselves politely. They often sneak up on you.
Yeah. And financial realities, of course, they've always shaped architectural decisions,
Yeah.
even for legends throughout history.
Oh, absolutely. Andrea Palladio, the Renaissance master, for instance, even he sometimes had to build with essentially cheap material, like a brick faced with stucco instead of solid stone, where his grand designs had originally called for the more expensive option.
So even Palladio had to adapt to budget constraints or material availability.
He did. It shows that even the greatest masters had to navigate the compromises of real-world project economics. And the lesson for builders today is about transparently navigating those compromises with the client, showing them creative solutions that still deliver value, even when the original vision needs a tweak.
Okay, so when facing these uncertainties, transparency is just paramount, isn't it? Especially when managing risks and changes.
Absolutely critical. The PMBOK guide the project management body of knowledge, a foundational text for project managers.
Right.
It stresses that uncertainty and planning interact, which means project teams must proactively plan for how to address potential risks.
You can't just hope for the best.
No. And those plans themselves may need to be revised or new plans developed to account for events or conditions that emerge. It's an iterative, adaptive process, not something set in stone at the beginning.
And common construction risks are pretty diverse, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. They span everything from design defects affecting constructability.
Can we actually build this design efficiently?
Right. To availability of materials, site safety concerns, and of course, the ever-present unpredictable weather.
So effective risk management requires proactive mitigation strategies. What does that look like?
Well, it could mean integrating construction knowledge really early into the design process to catch those constructability issues before they become problems on site.
Makes sense.
Careful material management, especially for long lead items, ordering them well in advance, and even explicitly including weather days directly in the project schedule to account for potential delays from bad weather, acknowledging the unpredictable.
And crucially, risk management involves consistent communication and reporting, usually through regular project team meetings.
Yes. And these aren't just status updates where everyone nods along. They should be dedicated opportunities to discuss emerging risks, potential opportunities too, openly, track their status, and collaboratively develop mitigation plans.
And the client or their representative, they need to be an active participant in these discussions, right?
Ideally, yes. Everyone needs to be aware. Everyone needs to contribute to finding solutions. It fosters a sense of shared responsibility, shared ownership of the challenges.
You mentioned Palladio earlier having to adapt. There's another story about his Lode del Capitaniato in Vicenza facing external pressures.
Yes, a vivid historical parallel. Its design had to undergo a really sudden change back in October of 1571.
Why? What happened?
Well, the Ottoman Turks were decisively defeated at the crucial naval battle of Lepanto.
Okay. How does that affect a building in Vicenza?
Because the subsequent huge financial assessment levied by the victorious Venetian Republic, which Vicenza was part of, forced the city commissioners to completely abandon the original, much more elaborate project design.
Wow, so external events, even major geopolitical ones, can drastically alter client expectations and project scope, forcing immediate and significant adaptation.
Exactly. The lesson is clear. External forces are always a potential factor, and a good builder needs to be adept at helping clients navigate these often unforeseeable shifts calmly and strategically.
Okay, this brings us to a really fascinating and often, let's face it, contentious tension in the client relationship. Professional autonomy versus client direction.
Ah, yes. The expert versus the client.
How much control does the expert, the architect, the engineer, the builder actually have or should have in upholding their professional judgment? And how much should they defer to the client's wishes, even when those wishes might conflict with best practices or their own expert opinion?
It's a constant balancing act. Viollet-le-Duc, the French architect we mentioned earlier, argued quite strongly that architects themselves must be left to resolve these complicated problems without being harassed by an absolute but vague control.
Provided they know what they're doing.
Provided, as he said, they are fully conversant with the means of execution. So this advocates for a deep respect for professional expertise, allowing those with the knowledge and skill to execute their vision without undue interference. It suggests that once trust is established, the client should empower the expert.
Yet clients, or sometimes their representatives, they often have incredibly strong opinions. And sometimes the builder or engineer has to really stand firm, maybe even gamble on their judgment.
Like Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
Exactly. The legendary British engineer. He famously scorned to betray his own judgment when he was facing the railway committee for his Great Western Railway.
What did he insist on?
He insisted he would survey the best, not the cheapest route from Bristol to London. He absolutely refused to compromise on quality for cost. He gambled on his professional integrity, his conviction.
And he won, didn't he? By one vote, I think.
By one vote. His conviction and his own judgment, even against significant financial and political pressure, ultimately carried the day. And it resulted in a superior railway line.
And conversely, the consequences of a client failing to heed expert advice can be pretty significant and long-lasting.
Like the Bristol Dock Company.
Yes, sticking with Bristol, they apparently failed to grasp what Brunel had realized about the critical importance of ongoing harbor maintenance, specifically keeping the harbor clear of mud and silt.
They ignored his recommendations.
They neglected his recommendations, yes. And as a direct result, they suffered long-term operational problems and incurred significant ongoing dredging costs for years. It really highlights the importance of trusting and, crucially, acting upon expert counsel, especially for complex engineering challenges.
And sometimes the control exerted by a client or someone in a position of power, it's less about collaborative decision-making and more about, well, raw power, even bullying.
Unfortunately, yes. The story of Robert Moses comes to mind.
The powerful New York urban planner. He often used aggressive, almost bullying tactics with commissioners to get his projects approved, didn't he?
He did. But there's that great anecdote about Paul Windels, who was corporation counsel at the time. Moses was apparently berating him over the phone.
What did Windels do?
Windels famously pushed back. He told Moses, in no uncertain terms, to change his tone or he'd be kicked out of Windels' office if he showed up acting like that.
Wow. How did Moses react?
Apparently, this surprising display of defiance completely changed Moses' demeanor. He backed down, became conciliatory, and even offered to take Windels to lunch.
Huh. So it's a powerful reminder that even the most powerful figures can sometimes be swayed by strong, principled resistance. Setting boundaries can actually lead to a more respectful, if maybe sometimes grudging, working relationship.
Boundaries are important. And underpinning all of this, of course, is the legal framework. Legal clarity is paramount in construction, and it often underscores the importance of those clear initial communications we talked about.
Right. The source mentioned a case about an oral contract for home renovation.
Yes. Despite good intentions, it was legally challenged because it wasn't written down clearly. The interesting point was, even if the builder wasn't fully paid because there wasn't a formal contract,
They could still potentially recover something.
they might still recover quantum meruit. It's a legal term meaning as much as deserved. Essentially, a reasonable sum for the value of the work they actually performed and that the client accepted, even without that formal written contract.
But it still powerfully emphasizes the critical need for clear, comprehensive, written agreements right from the start. Protects everyone, prevents costly disputes and misunderstandings later on.
Absolutely. And the painful lesson from the Great Eastern Ship Project really drives this point home.
What happened there?
The directors, looking back, realized they were largely to blame for huge arguments over cost overruns, not because of malice or incompetence necessarily,
But because
because they hadn't bothered to draw up an absolutely watertight form of contract at the beginning. That simple omission, that lack of clarity in the foundational legal document, led directly to significant disputes and major financial headaches.
it just showcases how absolutely foundational clear contractual agreements are for successful project execution and for maintaining positive client relationships when things get tough.
Couldn't agree more. And ultimately, this entire complex process from the initial vision through communication, managing challenges, legal frameworks, it's all underpinned by ethics.
Ethics, right.
Samuel Florman, an engineer and philosopher of engineering, he notes that the engineering profession, and by extension construction, must subscribe to high standards of competence and integrity.
So it's not just about technical skill or following the law.
No, it's about acting responsibly with honesty, fairness, transparency, and always, always protecting the client's legitimate interests throughout the entire journey. This ethical commitment is what builds the deep, resilient trust required to navigate all the inevitable challenges effectively.
Okay, so after journeying through all these complexities, what does this all really mean for you, the builder, the architect, the project manager listening right now, someone looking to truly excel in this demanding field?
Well, I think the ultimate goal of any construction project, as we've discussed, it really extends far beyond just the physical completion of the building.
It's about creating that positive, memorable experience, isn't it? Something that fosters lasting relationships, encourages repeat business, and generates those invaluable word-of-mouth referrals.
Exactly. It's about the human legacy we leave behind with every single structure we help bring into existence.
And the Construction Management Association of America, the CMAA, their standards clearly highlight this focus on the experience.
They do. They state that during the actual construction phase, the project manager's objective isn't just to build, but to expedite and enhance the efficiency of the construction process
Ow.
by communicating openly and facilitating the process while focusing on fulfilling the owner's scope, cost, quality, and time requirements. That commitment to efficiency and open communication isn't just about mechanics. It's central to delivering that positive client experience that meets all their expectations.
And this commitment to a positive experience, it extends right to the very end of the project, doesn't it? That phase known as the project punch-out.
Ah, the punch list, yes.
This is where that inevitable punch list comes into play. It's a document ideally prepared jointly by the owner, the architect, and the contractor.
Collaboration right to the end.
And it ensures that all those minor adjustments, the final details, any necessary little repairs are addressed and completed to everyone's satisfaction before substantial completion is formally signed off.
So the client is left feeling fully satisfied and genuinely excited about their new building, rather than feeling like details were overlooked or corners were cut at the finish line. It's about finishing strong.
And even seemingly internal matters, like a contractor being prompt about paying their subcontractors and vendors, that actually contributes significantly to their external reputation, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It affects their ability to deliver consistently. Maintaining strong, respectful working relationships within the entire project team, subs, suppliers, everyone, it directly benefits the client.
How so?
By ensuring smoother project flow, avoiding delays or liens or other legal issues, and just fostering an environment of mutual respect. That positive internal environment ultimately translates into a better final product and a smoother experience for the client. A happy supply chain often leads to a happy client.
Okay, so let's be clear. Technical competence in construction, that's table stakes, right?
Yeah.
It's expected.
It's the absolute minimum requirement. You don't get far in this business without it. Any reputable builder must be technically proficient.
But what truly sets a great builder apart? What creates that lasting legacy, that deep client loyalty we've been talking about?
It's the ability to master the client relationship. It's mastering the human side of the business with all its complexities, its emotional nuances, its communication challenges. That's the real differentiator.
And the PMBOK guide, interestingly, recognizes this human element even in complex technical projects. It emphasizes something called emotional intelligence.
Yes, EQ. The ability to understand one's own emotions and motivations, and also to effectively sustain working relationships with others. It says this is critical in project team environments.
And presumably, this applies equally, maybe even more so, to client interactions.
Absolutely. It requires self-awareness, understanding your own motivations, strengths, weaknesses. This allows for more empathetic and effective engagement, especially when tensions might be high or you have to have those difficult conversations. This capacity for emotional insight can diffuse conflicts and build bridges where mere technical proficiency might just hit a wall.
And this level of relationship building, it isn't just about good business, although it certainly is that. It's also about leaving a kind of legacy that transcends the physical structure itself.
That's a great point. Consider the medieval cathedral builders. Their names, people like Robert de Luzarches, Thomas de Cormont, Renaud, were famously inlaid in white marble right into the labyrinth floor at Chartres Cathedral.
Wow, immortalized right in their work.
Exactly. These men of genius, as they were called, were celebrated. Their names became an encouragement and an inspiration for generations that followed. Their work was obviously monumental, but their recognition speaks to a deep human appreciation for their vision, their skill, their contribution. It's a legacy built not just of stone, but of trust and respect.
That's powerful. And thinking about legacy today, beyond the immediate project, clients increasingly value long-term thinking, don't they? Especially around sustainability and environmental impact.
Huge topic now, absolutely. Educating clients on things like sustainable forestry certifications for wood products like FSC, the Forest Stewardship Council.
Or explaining the benefits of using materials with high recycled content, like metals or insulation.
Exactly. This helps clients meet specific green building design goals, like those outlined in systems like LEED-NC, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design for New Construction, or Green Globe, another widely recognized green building certification system.
So this foresight demonstrates a commitment not just to the building itself, but to the client's future operational costs, the building's long-term impact, and maybe even the planet's well-being. fosters deeper trust.
It shows you're thinking beyond the construction phase.
And as Jane Jacobs' classic Death and Life of Great American Cities so powerfully reminds us, something like a city park isn't just a patch of green, it's an example of organized complexity.
Influenced by countless interacting social, environmental, physical factors.
Right. And our buildings, too, they exist within and profoundly influence these broader systems, the environment, the local community, the economy.
Which highlights the crucial need for designs and construction processes that consider more than just the immediate structure. We need to think about its place and its impact in the larger interconnected world. And clients are increasingly aware of this and demanding it.
So ultimately, maybe some guiding principles are helpful here. The source mentioned guidelines for living in a world of systems.
Yes, some excellent principles for this long-term, holistic approach that really underpins great client relationships. Things like honor, respect, and distribute information. Be transparent.
Okay.
Go for the good of the whole. Think systemically beyond just your part of the project. And crucially, stay humble, stay a learner. Always be open to new information, new perspectives, feedback.
These aren't just, feel-good platitudes, are they?
Not at all. They are fundamental tenets. They foster genuine partnerships. They build a level of trust that endures far beyond the project's completion date. They help create those truly meaningful legacies for both the builder and the client.
So we've really journeyed through this intricate and, let's be honest, often challenging landscape of the client relationship in construction. From that abstract spark of a vision all the way to the final meticulous touches of a completed structure.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems undeniably clear that the human side of construction, with all its demands for empathy, clarity, resilience, perseverance, it's every bit as complex and critical as any engineering or technical challenge you might face.
I couldn't agree more. Whether you're dealing with, an ancient Roman patron commissioning an aqueduct, or a modern homeowner pouring their life savings into their dream house, or a complex city council overseeing a major public project.
The core principles seem to hold true.
They really do. That ability to deeply listen, to communicate transparently, to educate patiently, and to adapt thoughtfully when things change, that truly defines success in building. It's about forging that shared purpose, nurturing mutual respect, and ultimately building enduring trust.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. As you look at the next building being erected in your town, or maybe the next project you yourself embark on, try to consider not just the materials, the grand design, or the budget.
But think about those invisible threads.
Exactly. Those invisible threads of communication, compromise, and profound trust that bind its creation together. Ask yourself, what unspoken desires might that building truly represent for its owner? And how well do you think the builder, the architect, the whole team understood and delivered upon them?
It's a question that defines not just the success of a single project, but perhaps the lasting legacy of those who build.
Join us next time on The Deep Dive as we uncover more fascinating insights from your sources.